As you guys can see in the video, I am attacking them when we are at 6 combo, at least that is what it says according to my log, which I will pop up here. And also, if you guys check, you saw that their base defense was 22,379. Now, there's a little bit of leeway because I'm not sure exactly when the damage is calculated, because sometime in between when I started my attack animation and immediately after my attack animation, they had either between 1 and 3 stacks of physical defense buff. So there's obviously going to be a range here on top of, again, if you guys are not aware, there is an Rng factor in terms of damage. This actually applies to buffs and debuffs as well, if I'm not mistaken. And it will display in the calculator as a decimal between 0.9 and 1.0, and that's most likely just there to make you not do the same damage over and over and over again. Maybe it's to like put a little fun into it. I'm not exactly sure on the reasoning, but basically that's how that works. Alrighty then, now on to the boring part. So as you guys know, I pretty much simplified this as much as I possibly can, really. This is as simple as it's going to be. Again, just like in the last video for debuffs and buffing, this is going to be the level of the popped version of the Dauntless Courage. So in my case, I popped a level 10 Dauntless Courage. It is a Dauntless Courage 2, which means it is 15%. You do actually have to put the percentage here. I'm pretty sure it's not going to work if you just put 15. If anything, it's actually going to make the number way off. Do not change this. This is part of the calculator, please and thank you. This is going to be the exact combo that you want to test your damage at. That's up to you. You can either do this backwards, so an after the fact thing, or if you want to test your damage at 100, 200, 500 combo, whatever the case may be, you do that. This is the amount of buffs that you have. Again, if you guys are not aware, for buffing, it is 5% per buff. So a 10 buff is 50% increase. Just put in here, you don't have to touch this. This is going to be your base physical or magic attack stat itself. This is like your base. Whatever you have inside of your gear, or literally right as the Coliseum is about to start, that number. Don't add in buff and debuff stats. Actually, I can't really calculate with debuffs, but I'm just gonna ignore that right here. We're doing this live. Let's do this live. Can you do it negative? Okay, you can, but only up until I think it's around 5 debuff stacks. And then after that, I think it goes by 2% incremental. So I would just suggest not doing this in general, just to test your damage with debuffs. As I explained before, target amount correction is just so you can see how much damage you do on average. So obviously if you have a single target weapon like a sword, it is 1. If you have a weapon that says 1 to 2 targets, that means it will either do 1 or 2 targets. That does not mean that it will do 2 if there's 2 available, by the way. So in this case, you would put 1.5 and that averages out your damage. And then 2 obviously is your total damage that you would do to 2 targets. Now you could divide that in half and that would be your average overall damage. It won't be exact because obviously their defense will be different, but I suppose to some extent it might sort of be a little bit more accurate if you average out their defenses, but that's another topic entirely. I would just suggest using this mostly for single target damage or like looking at an average. The main skill correction again is using this numbers. You don't have to touch any of this at all. This is just a guide to pretty much show you how to do it. Obviously at level 1 it is a 1 times multiplier, and then as you level up the actual main weapon skill itself, this would be like the wave of destruction or whatever the hell it's called. You go through that and you put in the level. Obviously, as you guys can see here, leveling it up actually pretty important. But for now, I would probably suggest not using EXP on weapons that are non-DC because you probably aren't going to max them yet unless you spend a lot of money. Job correction, again, is the 10% additional boost that a weapon gets for the weapons of the same type. In terms of a breaker class, you would have a 10% bonus to swords, in which case you put a 10% here. You put 110% here, and then you're good to go. You don't have to fill this out because this uses the numbers that you put in the Dauntless Courage section. Nightmare correction is your damage that you get boosted from nightmares and Shinma. Obviously Shinma as well provides a boost. I believe Shinma adds, I think it's like 75%. It's quite a big boost. It's either 45 or 75. It's something around there. If you want to see what your damage is with something like Lindworm, you can just pop in Lindworm here, but just keep in mind that obviously Lindworm will only affect wind weapons, and FYI, I do actually know Lindworms. Lindworm, Freeze Golem, and Ugalu all give a 45% boost. So if I was using a Freeze Golem with this, I would do 4200 instead, right? But back to 1x multiplier because that's what we have. Again, combo multiplier, as you go higher, you will do more damage. And yes, you guys see all this math here. This is what was the hard part. I don't know how to use if statements, so I had to ask Fallen for help here. Thanks very much, Fallen. I'm not good with commands like this. If you want to see your damage at like 500 combo, you guys see that you do significantly more damage, about as much as Lindworm would be. And then this is the weapon modifier. Unlike before, I believe it was for supports. This one you don't actually add a +1, so I just have it like this. Don't touch this, please and thank you. I suppose you could change this. Actually, I have it changed by the time you guys watch. See, it's a 0.95 right now. I have it at 0.93 because that's pretty accurate for what my damage was doing. And then you have the enemy defense. This is their actual defense. You could check this number out before battle. That's probably your best suggestion. And if you want to see how much damage you do based on how many defense buffs they have, I would just suggest multiplying their defense by however many stacks they happen to have. So in the case of this enemy, they actually had less defense than this, but they had 1 stack of defense if I'm not mistaken. So I just did base defense times 1.05 and I got this number. I inputted it. And as you see here, it says that I did about 2,909. This is actually a bit off. I believe it did 2920 damage, so it's about 11 damage off, but more than likely it's just a matter of the decimal being off place. Maybe it's like 0.35 or 0.34 or something like that. So as you can see, the numbers do add up, and I will be checking other numbers as well. Future Tachi here. So I apparently had the skill ratios wrong. Whoops. I just edited them, so hidden multiplier was probably off on the last one, but regardless, that should be fine. Now in this case, we already have that correct. We have a 0.9 ratio here. That is the Rng Factor. We are about, I think, 8 or 9 damage off. Level 3 main skill correction. I know it says 108 here, but it rounds. I'm just hoping that it doesn't round in the actual multiplier. I don't think it does. Job correction obviously 0 because I'm using a breaker job, and this was a hammer. I did get 1 dauntless proc, but it was a level 1 dauntless 1 proc. Nightmare correction, it is a wind weapon, and I do have Lindworm active. Combo multiplier, I'm at 535 like I said, so it adds up to a 30.23% boost in damage. The weapon modifier is 230%, and like I said before, the enemy defense. So all of that is fine, and we come up with this number, which again is about like 8 or 9 damage off. But anyways, hopefully you guys make good use of this calculator. If you guys like the video, hit the like button. If you guys want to see more videos, more guides, whatnot, hit the subscribe button. I am out. Have a nice day.